Have you ever sat in a quiet room, maybe after dinner or just before bed, and thought back on something you told someone that you later regretted sharing? Maybe it was something personal, something from your past, or a secret hope you had. And then, instead of support, all you got was judgment, gossip, or worse, someone using that information against you. If that's ever happened to you, you're not alone. Today, we're diving deep into 5 powerful things that you should never tell anybody. Not your neighbor, not a coworker, not even some friends. And as someone who's lived a bit of life and walked a few winding roads, let me tell you, keeping these things to yourself is not secrecy, it's self-preservation. The first thing you should absolutely never tell anybody is your regrets. Regrets are personal, emotional, and often tied to some of the most painful chapters of your life. We all have them. That job we didn't take. That relationship we should have ended earlier. That decision we wish we could rewind and undo. But once you speak your regrets aloud, they stop being private reflections and start becoming stories that others can interpret, judge, and worse, repeat. People may nod in sympathy when you share them, but later, they'll remember you by them. Not by your strength, not by your resilience, but by your mistake. That's not fair, but it's true. You don't need others to define you by the darkest spots on your timeline. Let your regrets remain as lessons learned, not wounds reopened. You can grow from them, you can heal through them, but you don't have to hand them out like souvenirs from a painful journey. Because once you do, you can't take them back. The power they had over you grows instead of shrinks. The second thing you should keep private is your pain. Not just your physical pain, but your emotional burdens, your aches, your daily struggles that aren't easily seen. It's tempting, especially as we age and the body starts to whisper, then shout about what hurts. But talking about your pain to everyone can create 2 things, either pity or annoyance, neither of which help your healing. Your closest loved ones, sure, they can and should know what you're going through. But acquaintances, casual friends, even relatives who don't truly show up for you, they don't need the weight of your pain because more often than not, they're not going to help carry it. In fact, they might distance themselves, not knowing what to say, or they might start seeing you as the person who's always in pain, always struggling. But you're more than that. Your smile, your laughter, your wisdom, your strength, they all matter more than your list of medical complaints. Hold on to your dignity. Seek help where it truly counts, not just attention in passing conversations. The third thing, and this one's a big one, is your resentments. Resentments are poison you store in your own heart, and when you share them openly, that poison leaks out into your relationships, your environment, your peace. You might think you're venting, just getting it off your chest, but more often, you're starting fires in places that didn't need to burn. Telling someone you resent another person only sets up gossip, sides, misunderstandings, and more pain. Maybe you were wronged. Maybe someone truly hurt you. And yes, you absolutely deserve to feel what you feel. But not everyone needs to know who wronged you or how. Handle those emotions internally or with someone trustworthy who won't fan the flames. Because once your resentments become conversation, they become entertainment for someone else, and that strips you of control. You want to rise above your resentments, not sink deeper into them by dragging others into the mess. The fourth thing you should never tell people is your future plans. Not because your dreams aren't valid, but because the world isn't always kind to dreamers. You might want to start a new hobby, move to a new city, start a business, or even fall in love again. And it's beautiful to have goals at any age. But when you speak them too early, you invite doubts, opinions, and discouragement from people who don't carry your passion or vision. They'll say you're too old, too broke, too inexperienced. They'll say you can't just because they won't. I started this very channel in silence. Not because I was unsure, but because I was protecting the joy of starting something new. And you know what? Many of my friends still don't know I have this platform. That's okay. Not everything needs to be announced. Let your results speak. Let your joy speak. Surprise them not with a plan, but with the accomplishment. There's so much power in quiet work. Your dreams are sacred. Guard them until they grow. And the fifth thing, and this one is so important, I call it the golden rule of retirement, is your finances. Whether you have a little or a lot, whether you're living frugally or comfortably, your financial situation should never be casual conversation. Why? Because money changes relationships. Suddenly, you're not just a friend, a cousin, or a neighbor. You're a potential source. People will come asking for help, for loans, for connections, even for handouts. And once you say yes once, the expectation grows. Worse still, people might begin to see your success as undeserved, or your good fortune as something to envy rather than celebrate. I once shared that I had a vacation house in Arizona, and out of nowhere, I had people I hadn't heard from in years messaging me, planning their winter getaways on my dime. Not because they cared about me, but because they cared about what they could get. And that's the hard truth. Keep your financial details to yourself. Let your generosity be private and intentional. Not reactive, not pressured. You don't owe anyone explanations about what you have, how you earned it, or how you spend it. Now, you might be thinking, if I can't share these things, what can I share? The answer is simple. Share your love. Share your laughter. Share your wisdom, your memories, your kindness, your humor. Tell stories that lift others up. Offer advice that comes from a good place. Share your photographs and your good recipes. Talk about the books that moved you, the movies that made you cry or laugh. Be a source of light, not a shadow of your past pains. You don't need to be understood by everyone. Some people won't get you, and that's okay. The goal isn't to be known widely, it's to be known deeply by the right people. Protect your peace. Don't trade it for attention or shallow comfort. Life after 60 or 70 is not a time to shrink. It's a time to shine differently. Not by broadcasting every detail, but by curating what really matters. Think of yourself as a museum. Not everything you own is on display. Only the most beautiful, valuable, or meaningful pieces make it to the exhibit. Keep the rest in the vault of your soul, safe and sacred. If you found yourself oversharing in the past, don't beat yourself up. We all crave connection, but true connection isn't built on exposing wounds. It's built on exchanging light. You're allowed to keep things for yourself. You're allowed to be your own sanctuary. And trust me, the more you keep these 5 things guarded, the more peace and respect you'll gain from others, and more importantly, from yourself. Now, if this resonated with you, I invite you to stick around and explore more. Our community is full of stories, wisdom, and encouragement for anyone navigating the later chapters of life with grace, curiosity, and strength. And if you've ever learned the hard way that some things are better left unsaid, share that with us in the comments. Let's grow together by knowing what to protect and what to share. So let's push forward and talk about why these 5 things become more powerful the moment you choose silence over sharing. Silence isn't weakness. It's strength. It's control. When you keep your regrets to yourself, you don't let someone else rewrite your story. You don't hand them the pen to highlight the worst chapters. You hold on to your dignity. You protect your growth. You guard the transformation that came from learning those lessons. Nobody needs to know how you fell unless it teaches them how to rise. And if sharing doesn't do that, then it serves no purpose but to stir judgment, pity, or misplaced advice. Pain, emotional or physical, becomes less exhausting when you're not repeating it. Talking about it over and over reopens the wound. It grows louder in your own mind. Everyone has something hurting, and when you constantly tell the world about your aches, you start becoming known by them. Is it the identity you want to carry? No. You want to be remembered for your resilience, for your smile in the face of that pain, not the pain itself. The more you repeat your suffering, the deeper it etches into your personality. Don't let it. Treat it. Manage it. Heal it quietly. Let your strength do the talking. When it comes to resentment, speaking it doesn't release it, it revives it. Every time you voice how much someone wronged you, you re-feed that anger. You give that person power over your peace again. And when you share resentment, it rarely ends there. It echoes. It ripples. One person tells another. Suddenly, your pain becomes gossip. People pick sides. They question your version. They twist it. Before you know it, you're part of a story that spirals far away from truth. Resentment shared publicly becomes a weapon, sometimes against others, sometimes against you. So burn the resentment silently. Don't let it turn you bitter. Let it make you better. Plants. They're delicate. They're seedlings. You don't expose a sprouting plant to a storm. You nurture it in private. You feed it sunlight and water, not the cold doubt of others. When you speak your dreams before they're real, you lend the naysayers. You lend the doubt. And if you're not yet fully confident, their skepticism will become your inner voice. That's the real danger. You start to believe them. So don't. Do the work in silence. Let the results make the noise. Let them see you when you've arrived, not when you're halfway there and vulnerable to being turned around. Quiet is your superpower. Protect your plans like treasure until they shine so bright they can't be ignored. Money. The moment someone knows you have it, you're no longer just you. You're a source, a sponsor, an opportunity. In the wrong hands, you're a target. People remember financial details. They keep mental ledgers of who owes what, who has more, who should be giving. Suddenly, you're being measured not by your character, but by your wallet. That's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. But I will. Talking about your wealth invites expectations. Talking about your struggles invites judgment. There's no safe side unless it's inside your closest circle. And even then, only those who've earned that level of trust. Financial privacy isn't secrecy. It's safety. But why does this really matter? Because when you cross a certain age, 60, 70, beyond, you realize your peace is gold. Your time is precious. You don't owe explanations. You don't owe justifications. You've survived enough storms. You deserve calm skies. And that calm comes from boundaries. These 5 boundaries aren't walls. They're gates. You decide who comes close enough to know the truth. You decide who gets access to your soft spots. The older you get, the more selective you must become. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Think about it. The more people know, the more they assume. They fill in blanks. They build stories around your pain, your mistakes, your income, your dreams. They draw their own conclusions. Sometimes they're wrong. Often, they don't care if they're right. They just want a story to tell. Don't become someone's headline. Don't let your private journey become a public discussion. Your life isn't a dinner topic. It's a sacred space that you've earned the right to say nothing. You've earned the right to walk quietly, to choose stillness over noise. You've earned the power to observe without being observed. And in that quiet space, you find something incredible: peace. Peace from judgment. Peace from comparison. Peace from expectations. There's something incredibly liberating about being misunderstood by people who don't deserve to understand you anyway. If you've been oversharing your regrets, letting your pain become conversation, dragging your resentment into the open, or announcing every plan before it's real, this is your reminder to stop. Pause. Reclaim your power. You don't need to explain your path to anyone who hasn't walked it. You don't owe the world your pain in exchange for sympathy. You don't owe friends your plans in exchange for approval. You don't owe acquaintances your income in exchange for attention. You owe yourself peace. Oh, here's what you share instead. Share your laughter. Share your gardening tips. Share the recipe that reminds you of your childhood. Share your passion for photography or your morning walks. Share the kind of wisdom that lights someone up, not dims you down. There's a quiet joy in sharing what uplifts without exposing what wounds. It makes you magnetic in the best way. The strongest people I've ever met after 60 were never the loudest. They were the ones who chose silence when noise was easy. They were the ones who smiled while carrying invisible weight. The ones who walked away from gossip instead of adding to it. The ones who built lives that looked simple but were rich with peace. Be that person. And if this message has reached you in a moment where you needed to hear it, I'm glad. Because that means you're ready. Ready to reclaim your boundaries. Ready to value your privacy. Ready to walk quietly into the next chapter of your life with power, grace, and peace. That's what this channel is here for. And this community, those who are here not for drama, but for wisdom, this is where we find each other. Stay with us. Because the best parts of life are the ones we protect, not the ones we perform. Keep walking forward with quiet confidence. There's strength in that silence. There's power in not explaining. There's freedom in not being understood by everyone. And there's peace, beautiful peace, when you stop giving away parts of yourself to people who haven't earned the privilege of knowing them. And as you move forward, you begin to notice something strange but beautiful. Your silence begins to speak for you. When you stop explaining every decision, every mistake, every dream, you shift from being questioned to being respected. People begin to wonder how you manage so much with so little said. They start to see you not as someone with problems or needs, but as someone with a sense of self, someone grounded, someone they quietly admire. That mystery you once feared becomes your strength. You become more powerful not because you're louder, but because you're intentional with your words and your energy. You don't offer pieces of yourself casually anymore, and that changes how others see you. You no longer feel the need to announce your struggles to get sympathy or your ambitions to get approval. You stop searching for validation from people who don't truly know your heart. You stop handing out emotional access like samples at a grocery store. You realize that the more you keep to yourself, the more you protect your emotional home. And that's what it is. Your mind, your soul, your life, it's your home. You wouldn't let just anyone walk through your front door, touch your belongings, or judge your decorations. So why let them into the most sacred parts of your thoughts? This shift doesn't mean isolation. It means intention. It means choosing who earns the right to know you deeply. It means giving your energy to people who love you without condition, who hold your words with care, who don't turn your truth into tools for their advantage. When you stop sharing things that should stay private, you create space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to create and rebuild the parts of you that were worn down by oversharing. This also frees you from the emotional hangovers that come from telling the wrong people too much. You've been there before, haven't you? You've opened up to someone thinking it was safe, only to feel exposed afterward. You play the conversation over and over in your head, wishing you'd kept that part of yourself quiet. That feeling of vulnerability that wasn't honored, it lingers. But now you know better. You learn to pause before speaking. You listen to your gut. You recognize the difference between someone who truly listens and someone who just wants a story. And as your circle becomes smaller, it becomes more valuable. Those who stay for the real you, not the version of you they want to gossip about, or the version they want something from. You begin to feel the richness of selective sharing. A single genuine conversation replaces 10 shallow ones. A single warm connection outshines a room full of noise. Even when it comes to your victories, you begin to realize that not every win needs a round of applause. You don't need to post about it. You don't need to announce it. You can simply live it. You can enjoy the sweetness of a moment without needing it to be validated by others. That right there is peace. Doing things not to be seen, but to be satisfied. Not to impress others, but to fulfill yourself. And with time, you'll find that protecting your inner life becomes easier. It's like training a muscle. At first, you might want to tell someone about that dream, or that new plan, or that thing that hurt you, but you'll pause. You'll take a breath.